Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Maria from Underthenightmoon, and I'm here today to do flip throughs for you of the cutest little books that I am just absolutely in love with making right now. Of course, I am making little dolly books, and I am using the absolutely gorgeous papers from the Pixie Dust files. If you follow me, you know how much I adore her papers. And I have two that I made. You can see some of the papers from her collection. And then I did mix in other papers and things as well, just from my stash. And look how chunky they are. So fun. I have a larger one here and then a little one, but they are both packed with just so many fun things, ready for a story and to be filled with all kinds of little memories and pieces of the past. And they're just darling, absolutely darling. I also used some wallpaper, and I also added some vintage wallpaper in here for you to play with as well. And so I'm gonna go ahead and start the flip through. And I actually today have a ruler, which is pretty good. And this one is little, but she's mighty. Let's see, so she's 6.5 by 3.5 this way, but she will not disappoint. And for some reason, I just find this smaller size so absolutely endearing, and it wasn't hard at all to work with. Even with my chubby Italian hands, everything in this book just was easy and fun, and it's filled with all kinds of beautiful papers, which you will see, including the front cover. This is from the Pixie Dust files here. I did attach a little rhinestone and a little vintage heart on a garment pin, a little gingham bow, and another little bow here. There's some age tape, and then I'm really enjoying using my vintage fabrics, antique fabrics. There's a lot of vintage papers, vintage book papers, wallpapers, and these are all authentic, which I just have a lot of, and it's been really fun because they match so well with the themes of these little dollies. So like this little picture here is a reprint, but I used antique papers to cover it with. And so it's just this cute little journaling card. Write Your Own Story is from the Pixie Dust files there. And then this is the centerpiece of a book, a vintage book. And this paper is just so pretty, and it makes a wonderful journaling card. And I did like the fact that it had announcements already printed on it. I just thought that was fun. And I'm sure that she made announcements, because look how cute. I think that's Ruby and Pearl, although I'm not quite sure. So that is on the cover. I did use more modern wallpaper just for sturdiness, but you will see as we flip through the vintage wallpapers. And then the second thing about this little journal is it's a paper bag journal. So I used 2 paper bags. You can kind of see here the bag, and you can see how it opens, so you can stuff all kinds of goodies in there. So there's 2 of these per book. So this is the first one. Oh, let me show you. So there's one here and one here. And so one side has been glued and one side is open, and then the same here. This side is glued and then this one is open. I hope that makes sense. Once you're holding it, you will see. It's hard to explain because I have it all covered, but you'll see when you're holding it. It has been stitched. The little bags have been stitched for durability, and then it's one signature that I sewed in the center of the 2 bags. And let me just show you. And usually when I do these kinds of books, I do like to make the pages on the inside more plain, ready for you to write on. Oops, sorry, I'm not in. I have the camera lower today because she's little. Yeah, so the writing papers are in the center, and they're usually more plain. That way you can write and add things. But I do like to paper clip and make little tuck spots so that there's plenty of things for you to play with. And if you follow me in my work, you'll kind of recognize that part of how I work. Okay, so the first page has the little tuck here where our little darling goes, and her announcement paper, which I think is so cute. And then the first page is the first paper bag. And so inside this little bag, I put some things. And then on the other side of all these paper bag pages, so there's 4, right, 1 on each side, I use some really pretty Prima paper. And I don't know what collection it is, but I've had it forever and it's so pretty. And I think it just goes so well with the little dollies. So let me show you what I put in the bag. Beautiful little springtime bunny journaling card. Some of them I did stamp note on there because Easter is coming and you might be putting together a little gathering and that sort of thing. Dishes that you want to prepare, or maybe you have already some memories that you want to just jot down. I always like to make sure you have plenty of papers to write your story. And I did think, now this is the Pixie Dust Files Lala's Doll Shop kit, and this comes with it, and I just love that along with our little cutie there. Just kind of gives the vibe of, you know, just dollies, vintage dollies. And then you can see the laces and textures, textiles that I added to this book. I moved my sewing machine so it's right here to my left, which is very, very fun because now I can just zip up little ruffles and I can stitch around anything a lot easier. Before I was lifting it and clearing off my desk. And yeah, so that has been a nice difference. So you can see this little card flips up, and like I said, there's all kinds of textiles, vintage ledger paper, and so each one of the Prima papers is a pocket, and there's something there to let you know, like a little, I did do a little notch so you can tell. So that flips up, and there's a cute little place for you to journal and you can write. And then on the other side, just some beautiful vintage wallpaper, which could have been in a little craft room from a book of this era. You can see, look at the little tiny Tim Holtz cup. So cute. And then the little notch is up here. You can sort of see the bag right there a little bit. And so this is one of the Pixie Dust Files backing papers. Perfect little card to write a story. Add a little piece of your own fabric. So that goes in there. Plus I love the little rosette kind of peeking out right above our little cutie here. Just ever so fun. And then on the other side, I added from the Lala's Doll Shop this darling little journaling card, and then I added fabrics I stitched, just some really fun layers and things from my collection for you to play with. And I put the card in the pocket and left the fabric hanging over, which you can use as journaling. You can add a little picture or that sort of thing. In my spare time, I love to make little yo-yos. So I think there's only one in each book, but this is one of the yo-yos. I never glue them. They're always sewn, so you can move them around. Or not sewn, they're always a little brass pin. They're always pinned onto something. And then you can see this pocket here is nice and large. And I did have fun with my Anna Griffin folder that does sewing notions. And so you'll see in this book, this is the fun pair of scissors. It cuts and embosses. Oops, am I not in frame? Sorry. And you can see the embossing of like the vintage scissors. So fun. So I just thought I'd add it in there. And these books do have the hint of springtime. This is a little notepad from some of the offcuts. This is real vintage ledger papers. And I have a very special video coming up, and I will talk more about that in the video, but it has to do with vintage office supplies. Very exciting that I will be selling soon. And so you can stay tuned for that. I might have to reattach that, but just a fun little offcut. And then springtime. I'm going to put this over here because I need to reattach that. But and then so there's the 2 pages, and then here are the writing pages. And a little bit of that beautiful antique fabric that I had. Oh, and let me put these back. And then here are the writing papers for the journal itself. There's vintage book pages. This is 100% cotton rag paper. This is onion skin paper that I did some splattering on. There have been tea dyed. Some are stamped. This is the vintage ledger paper, and I have many different ledger papers. Okay, that's just one. And then it wouldn't be a Pixie Dust Files Dolly book without one of her little dresses, which I just absolutely love playing with the dresses from her shop. Just the tiniest little pieces of tulle. There's lots of sewing notions in here, little flowers, hand stitching, sewing stitching, just to make it very nostalgic and sweet. I fussy cut one of her little dollies. And then here is another, now I just sewed onto this little sewing machine let me tuck this underneath so you can see the little sewing machine. It's so cute. And you could do, excuse me, either side. They both have beautiful embossing. And that's Anna Griffin. I'm sure you'll find that on her website. And then just some really pretty tags from, this is Betty's shop. The Ira, from Ira's shop, the lamb, Ira lamb. I'm going to hack that up. She told me I could call her Betty. Thank you, Betty. Her papers are really beautiful and fun, too. And then one of Debrina's little, baby dolly tags. And then again, another little tuck spot over here. A true friend. Get this little cutie. And then a little bunny. And I threaded some beads on the garment clip. See the little bunny. There's some antique lace and tulle, and then one of her sweet little bunnies. Little journaling card. That I kind of like the little ears. Another sweet little tag journaling card, and then again more of the vintage ledger here. And then this is like a little tuck spot in there. Little bunny stamp. And then I sewed in a little pink glassine bag. And then in the little glassine bag from my little tiny, and I can show you this because I have it right here, the teeniest little ledger book ever. It's so cute. 1909. And I just started using it now in these books. You can see it even has the gold, a leather cover. It's absolutely precious. And I'm just trying to give it, you know, a purpose in life by using it in my work. And then I paired it with one of Debrina's little roses. And then again, another little dress. So cute, so fun. This one I stitched some sweet little beads on there and a little gold star. And then this is some vintage linen paper in this gorgeous aqua color, which I think is so pretty. And then this is the center, the back of the center signature. Lala's Doll Shop was the name of her kit. I'm not sure if this one is in her shop or not. You can message her if it's not and see if you can get it, or if it is, I will link it down below in the notes for this video. Usually I have her shop linked in almost all of my videos, but I can find that out. But you can always message her through her Etsy shop if this is one that you don't have that you want to have. Of course, most of her digitals will go with everything that I make, and then of course they coordinate so beautiful together just on their own. Beautiful papers. My favorite papers to work with are hers. And then I did a little tiny sewing machine charm here, and there's a little tiny heart, some more laces and things. I did a Martha Stewart punch on the edge here. More stitching and sewing, a little bead, I sewed a little bead on. This is some vintage seam binding from my mom's studio, some tiny florals, and then some vintage tatting, some flocked polka dot. The little polka dots are felted, which is really fun. And then you can see this is the other side of the pink bag. But this is a little tuck spot, and I just stitched that little label on there. And then again from Lala's Doll Shop, she gives you these cute little dollies. So cute, so fun. And then this is from the kit she made for me that's in my Etsy shop. This is the fabric and trim, which were trims from my stash, and then she made this gorgeous digital collection for me as a gift for my Etsy shop. I will link that down below too. You might have seen it if you follow me here. It's absolutely beautiful. And you can see her digitals are so precious. They're so thoughtful and beautifully done. I never get tired of her digitals. They always put me in a good mood, and I just always love what I make using her papers. Again, just a sweet little doily with little rosebuds ready to be journaled on, and then a little trim card and more of some paper from Betty's shop there. And then part of the vintage items that you're going to see coming up, I'm going to do a whole video on it, but part of it is going to be a lot of vintage office supplies. And one of the things that I am going to be adding are these vintage steel paper clips. And they're already vintage just all on their own. They're so cool. I love them. And they are so sturdy. And so I have those, and then I have these little ones, which are also steel, and you just don't see them like this. You can tell by holding them how old these are. And what is so beautiful about this collection of things that I'm going to be selling is that they have been preserved for years in like humidity-free places, and so you won't believe that, you know, they're over 100 years old, but they look like they were just recently made. It's crazy. You'll see once that video goes up. I'm working on that right now. Okay, so this is the I'm gonna take everything out so you can see. This is the onion skin paper. It's very thin. I did some spraying on it. It's thin, but it's sturdy. That's the really cool thing about the onion skin paper. And so I folded it and just left it like a little tuck. And so what's fun is you can see through it. So I love that. You can see the little girls. I put a little, one of Debrina's tags from her vintage tag collection. I put this cute little stationery notepad, and I just stamped these cute little, well, it's one girl, but I put 4 of these together for like a little, you know, favorite books that you want to read, or, you know, just for journaling to have. I always want to make sure you have plenty of things to journal with. And then I had, using this fun paper clip, this really fun, now this is just tracing paper, this isn't a vintage paper, but I did, you can actually make a little dress using this pattern. And then this is the little waist, I think. Well, oh, okay, so it's for the coat, but okay, well maybe you can't use it, but I still think it's really cool and fun and vintage. And I got this at the scrap place, and I just love the way it looks. I'm not a very good sewer, but that doesn't mean that you couldn't follow it. Maybe you have better luck than me. But what I love is this vintage clip holds everything in place. Right? Isn't that how I had it? Yeah. And then I had this beautiful vintage doily that I copied onto vellum. Again, you can see through it, and it's always so pretty. And then I think I had this with the dollies. And then this here. Of course, you can move these around. The owner can have fun with all of these things. And then, of course, as always, my journals always come with a little extra bag of goodies. And that's something that I just love to do. And so, yeah. And then you can see here are more pages for you to write on. I did some age tape. More of that paper. A little stamp. And then here is the other two sides of the vintage bag. And so I'll take everything out so you can kind of see. This is some antique netting from, I think this is from a garment. Not quite sure. I was gifted this from a really fun person that I met here in Michigan. She has the Vintage Finds and Redesign shop, which is linked on my Instagram page, which I highly recommend you go to her website, because she has the most beautiful collection of goodies. And if you're in the Michigan area, you must go see her shop. It's incredible. I'll put a link down below if I can, but it's Vintage Finds and Redesign. You can Google it and you'll see her website will come right up. This cute little paper doll ephemera I made into, again, another little notepad for you to just journal on, add pictures to, write some, you know, maybe you have ideas for your Easter coming up, a special dinner, and that sort of thing. Oops, these didn't make it, but I'll just tuck those in. This is some embossed rice paper, some Amity Bloom, ready for a story. And I just thought that was really fun to tuck inside the little paper bag. But look how much room you have in there to store things. So making this book is really, making books like this is really fun. Here is some beautiful wallpaper. We'll just tuck that in there. There's a pretty little doily for you to play with as well. And then I will put these little extra journaling cards in there as well. And then behind the sweet little birdie nest, which is again from the Pixie Dust Files, my favorite wallpaper of all time is this sweet little yellow Jacobean, I think it's called. We'll put it in the pocket there. And then I did give you this sweet little frame. Maybe you have some little cuties that you want to frame. And then one of her little dream cards there. So sweet, so fun. And then on the other side, one of my favorite images is from her ballerina kit. And also with the collection of things that you're going to be learning about, there's a lot of little labels and things. And I'll just give you a little sneak preview here. There's a lot of Denison, a lot of stars, and things that will be in the kits. And so I couldn't help but give these little girls a gold star just for fun. And then they've got their layers of tulle. There's a little bow and a little ballerina charm down here. And then they flip over for journaling and whatnot. And then the little tuck spot above, again from the Anna Griffin Sewing Notions, is this fun dress form that's embossed. And then one of Debrina's journaling cards from the ballerina kit. And you can see here just how fun all of her things, you can see right there, just go together so well, which is what I love about her papers. Just love. And then some more antique fabrics that I stitched, little mother of pearl buttons, and then a little Easter card, and some more tickets and things from the Pixie Dust files, and the fabric collection that she made for me that's in my shop. So I hope you enjoyed this flip through of this little book. I have to thank you all so very much for your comments and positive words that you leave for me, whether it's here or on Instagram. I'm so very blessed to just be able to read them, especially on days when you just, you know, yeah, just this world is tough right now. And so I come to my art as an escape. And when I read so many beautiful, kind comments, it is just the lift of the century. And I am super grateful, super grateful. So I just want to make sure I say thank you all so very much. Stay tuned, because I am going to do flip through of this one next, and you can see just for size purposes, this one's really cute and fun too. So thank you all so much. Links are down below. This is already listed in my Etsy shop, which again will be linked down below. But just thank you all so very much. Have a great weekend, and I will see you in the next video, everyone. Bye for now.